Good morning, children. Welcome to Harleen Ma'am's class, Grade 5, Chapter 13, Rajam and Money by R.K. Narayan. All right. Children, Rajam and Money is an extract taken from R.K. Narayan's one of his greatest treasures, Malgudi Days. Now, when we were your age, we had a serial on this also. There is a book, and now that time they had a TV serial as well. R.K. Narayan was born on the 10th of October 1906, and he passed away in 2001. He's best known for his greatest town, a fictional town which he created. It's an imaginary town. There's no town called Malgudi, but there's a town which he created, and he had these young boys in there and the stories that follow. It is in South India. He is one of the leading figures of early Indian literature in English. Now, Narayan introduced this small little town of Malgudi, and in this, there's Swami and his friends. Now, this chapter in your images is taken from it's an extract from that book, Swami and his friends. I'm sure if you're interested, you can take it from the library. So let's start the chapter Rajam and Money, about two boys, how they become friends. So let's start the chapter without wasting much time. Now, you want to share with the class some of the ways which you make new friends. How do you make new friends? Do you offer them something and you share something and automatically you start discussing a few things, exchanging? Or you just go up to somebody and say, "Hi, how are you? Hi, Andy, how are you? You want to be my friend?" Well, there are different ways of making friends, right? So please share with the class how you make friends. We move on to the reflect part. Now, two people who are not alike, they often become very good friends. You know, they say opposites attract. So sometimes if you look around yourself, there might be a lot of your friends. Maybe they have very different choices, tastes, qualities, but still you are best of friends, right? It is quite possible. Do you agree with that? No, you don't agree with that? Please give me your points. Or you feel no, it's only similar minds can be friends. Yeah, to some extent, the platform of some sharing of simple thing, similar interests have to be there, but there can be different tastes sometimes. And that's how you become friends as well. Now, can you imagine a life with no friends? I know right now with the COVID, with the pandemic, we are, isolated and not with our friends. But very soon we all are going to be back in school, all right? But I'm talking about a life without friends, with no friends. What a lonely life. I wouldn't like to lead that. I have lots and lots of friends. Yes, we're going to share that right now. We are going to write in our notebooks, the imagine part, a life with no friends. How would you feel? You have to draw that. And what would you do when you really feel very, very lonely? Yeah, your parents are your friends. I'm sure they are. But there are lots of things I think you talk to your friends about, although you should make your parents your friends also. But then they're parents also, right? So friends, a life without friends, write a short paragraph on that. All right, children, let's start chapter 13, Rajam and Money. We'll read the story about Swami and his friends, Rajam and Money. Now, like I told you, it's a fictional town in South India. So it's an imaginary town created by R.K. Narayan. So there's a river. Sarayu was the pride of Malgudi. It was some 10 minutes walk from Elamen Street, the last street of the town, chiefly occupied by oil mongers. Its sandbanks were the evening resort for all the people of the town. The usual evening crowd was on the sand. Swaminathan and Mani sat aloof on a river step with their legs dangling in the water. It was some 15 minutes past sunset and there was a soft red in the west. The sun is setting. Now this is the river Sarayu and it was a pride. It was a pleasure of the town Malgudi. It was a joy. It was delightful to see this river. It was a short walk from the street, the main street, and it was chiefly occupied by oil mongers, people who sell oil. Chiefly, everybody knows, most importantly, and the usual evening, all the crowd used to gather. Every town, every city has a place where everybody likes to spend their evenings. So this was River Sarayu, where people used to come and chill by the river banks. The usual evening crowd was on the sand. They used to laze around there and chat up with their friends, meet up with everybody. Now here Swami and his friend Mani, they were sitting aloof, all by themselves on the river step, and the legs are dangling in the water. And it is sunset. Now Mani asked, "The water runs very deep here, doesn't it?" "Yes." "Why?" asked Swami. "I'm going to bring Rajam here, bundle him up and throw him into the river." Now you must be wondering, Swami and Mani, two friends sitting on the river banks, and suddenly Mani says, "I'm going to get this boy Rajam, I'm going to bundle him up and throw him into the river." Now who is Rajam? Let's read. Rajam was a fresh arrival in the first A. He had sauntered into the class on the reopening day of the second term, walked up to the last bench, sat beside Mani and felt very comfortable indeed till Mani gave him a jab in the ribs, which he returned. He had impressed the whole class on the very first day. He was a newcomer. He dressed very well. He was the only boy in the class who wore socks and shoes, a fur cap and tie, and a wonderful coat and knickers. He came to the school in a car. As well as this, he proved to be a very good student too. There were vague rumors that he had come from some English boys' school somewhere in Madras. He spoke very good English, exactly like a European, which meant that few in the school could make out what he said. So, Rajam is a fresh arrival, that means a new student in this school. Now from this paragraph we can tell that this particular school where Swami and Mani go is, they have a mixed bundle of children, usually children who come in their slippers maybe, not fully dressed in a uniform. So this boy enters the class, he sauntered in very carelessly, he just comes in and he gives him a jab, he pokes him and he returns the jab, Mani. And you know how it is the first time when a new arrival, you're a little coy, you're shy, you quietly sit down. But this boy is pretty confident, and it's said that he was the most well-dressed boy. He came in a car, so you can tell that not many students come on any vehicle there. They must be walking into school. So from this paragraph, you can tell that Rajam is going to be very popular in the class. And he was a good student, dressed well, and he had perfect English. He spoke just like a European, which most of the students didn't even understand. Now, this Rajam was a rival to Mani. Rival, somebody you're in competition with. If Mani jabbed, Rajam jabbed. If Mani clouted, he clouted, poked. If Mani kicked, he kicked. If Mani was the overlord of the class, he was one of the ruling boys of the class, Rajam seemed to be nothing less. So he was like a rival to Mani. Now you know why Mani wanted to bundle him up and throw him in the river. And to add to all this, the fact that Rajam was a regular 70%er, second only to Shankar. He was a nice, bright boy. There were sure indications that Rajam was a new power in the class. That's why Mani was jealous of him. Day by day, as Mani looked on, it was becoming increasingly clear that a new menace had appeared in his life. There is this menace which has appeared. He just did not like it. That's why Mani doesn't like Rajam. He became a menace, extremely annoying. All this lay behind the decision on the river step to bundle up Rajam and throw him into the river. Now you know why he wanted to bundle him up and throw him in the river. Swaminathan expressed a slight fear. You forget that his father is a police superintendent. Mani remained silent for a while and said, What do I care? Some night I'm going to crack his shoulders with my clubs. Clubs is like a stick. If I were you, I would keep out of the way of policemen. They are an awful lot, said Swaminathan. Now we get to know Rajam's father's in the police, but still that doesn't stop Mani from breaking his bones. But Swaminathan warns him and says, Be careful, he's a cop's son, he's a policeman's son. If you were me, but thank God I am not you, a milk-toothed coward like you. Swaminathan bit his lips and sighed. He takes a breath out. Swaminathan was to act as a cord of communication between Rajam and Mani. Now, obviously, when you have a rival or you are jealous of somebody and you do have a mediator, somebody coming in and trying to, pacify the situation, they were sitting on the last bench with their backs against the yellow wall. Swaminathan sat between Rajam and Mani, poor fellow. Their books were before them on the desk, but their minds were busy. Mani wrote on a piece of paper, Are you a man? And gave it to Swaminathan. Swaminathan had to pass it on to Rajam. You all do that in class? You write little chits and pass around? Yes, that's what is happening here. So don't you think the teacher doesn't know what you're doing? We all have done that. We've been there, done it, seen it. So we know exactly what you're doing when you're looking straight in the teacher's eyes and you are like writing some slip and passing it around. We all know it, children. Be careful. So Mani wrote that and Swaminathan passed the piece of paper to Rajam, putting on as offensive a look as possible. Offensive, insulting, a rude look. Rajam read it. What does he read? The slip passed to him by Mani. He crumpled it and he throws it away. At which Mani wrote another note, repeating the question, Are you a man? He's trying to incite him. With the addition, he writes, You are the son of a dog if you don't answer this. And he pushed it. He's inciting him to take up a fight with him. Rajam hissed into Swaminathan's face, You scoundrel, don't disturb me, and crumpled the letter up. He says, You rogue, you dishonest person, you scoundrel, don't disturb me. Further progress was stopped. Now Mani was passing chits and now Rajam has answered by saying, Stop it, don't disturb, and he keeps throwing it away. Swaminathan, stand up, said the teacher. Swaminathan stood up faithfully. What is Lisbon famous for? Asked the teacher. Swaminathan hesitated and ventured. For being the capital of Spain. The teacher bit his mustache and fired a second question. What do you know about the Indian climate? It is hot in summer and cold in winter, sir. Stand up on the bench, roared the teacher. That's how the teacher gets angry with you and she punishes you. And Swaminathan stood up without a protest, without protesting, without saying no. He just stands up on the bench. Now, you all are very glad that we don't punish you, children, but in those days, yes, you are caned. Yes, on your hands, on your bottoms, you are caned. You have to raise your hands, you become a lot of other things. He was glad that he was given this supposedly degrading punishment instead of the cane. Like I told you, earlier days, children were given canes, all right? And now we can't even touch you. You just have to show your eyes and say, all right, stand in the corner, write 100 times. All right. So he says, thank God he was made only to stand on the bench and not caned. Swaminathan paid no attention to the rest of the lessons. Obviously not, because he is punished. When the work for the day was over, Swaminathan, Mani and Rajam adjourned to a secluded spot to say what was in their minds. They break out, they go to the secluded, isolated, lonely place to sort out things. Swaminathan stood between them and acted as a medium of communication. They were so close that they could have heard each other even if they had spoken in whispers. but it was a matter of form between enemies to communicate through a medium. Mani faced Swaminathan steadily, in a steady manner, and asked, "Are you a man?" Swaminathan turned to Rajam and repeated, "Are you a man?" Rajam flared up. He got really angry and shouted, "Which dog doubts it?" Swaminathan turned to Mani and said ferociously, "Which dirty dog doubts it?" He is passing on the messages. "Have you the courage to prove that you're a man?" asked Mani. Swaminathan turns to Rajam. He's passing on the messages and repeated it. How? How? Repeated Swaminathan to Mani. He's just passing on the messages. "Meet me at the river near the Nalapa's Grove tomorrow evening." "Near Nalapa's Grove?" Swaminathan was pleased to echo. "What for?" asked Rajam. "To see if you can break my head." "Oh, into pieces," said Rajam. Swaminathan's services were dispensed then. They were dropped. He was not required. Messages have gone clear. They gave him no time to repeat their words. He's not required. They can hear each other. Rajam shouted in one ear and Mani in the other. "So we may expect you at the river tomorrow," said Swaminathan. "Yes," Rajam says, "assured. Definitely, I'm going to be there and let's see what you can do." Mani wanted to know if the other would come with guards. Now, Mani, do you think somewhere is getting a little scared that is he going to come with his father's guards? He's a cop's son. He's a policeman's son. No, he would not. And Mani voiced another doubt. "If anything happens to you, will you promise to keep it out of your father's knowledge?" Rajam promised and suggested, and he might act otherwise. Nalapa's Grove stood a few yards before them. It was past 6 and the traffic for the day between the banks was over. The usual evening crowd was far behind them. They had selected a time when it was not very crowded. Swaminathan and Mani were squatting on the sand. They were sitting in the sand. Can you see it in the picture? They were silent. Mani was staring at the ground with a small wooden club. Can you see it in the picture? Yes, he's sitting there with a little club in his hand. He was thinking he was going to break Rajam's head and in a short while throw his body into the river. What an awful thing to think and do. You better not do or think like that about for anybody. It's not good. But if it should be recovered, the body, and then how could they know that he had done it? But if Rajam should conk and trouble him at night as a spirit, what if Rajam comes to him as a spirit at night? Since his grandfather's death, he was sleeping alone. What if Rajam should come and pull his hair at night? Would it be better not to kill him after all? He would be content himself. He said he'll be content just breaking his bones and leaving him to his fate. He would, if he should batter his head, if he's going to smash his head, who was going to find it out? Unless, of course, he cast a sly look at Swaminathan. Now, all this is going in Mani's head, that if I break his bones and throw him in the river, what if a spirit comes and troubles me? And what if I just beat him and just make him just leave him somewhere? Who will go and inform? He looks at his friend Swaminathan. Maybe Swaminathan will inform him. Who was blinking innocently. He's just sitting. He doesn't know what's going on in Mani's mind. Unless, of course, Swaminathan informed the police. At the sound of the creaking of boots, they turned and found that Rajam had come. He was dressed in khaki, the color khaki, and carried under his arm an air gun that was given to him a couple of months ago on his birthday. After all, he's a policeman's son. He stood very stiff and said, "Here, I'm ready." "You're late." "Yes, we will start." Rajam shouldered his gun and fired a shot in the air. Boom. Mani was startled. Mani just had a club. He stood still and he put his club down. "You heard the shot?" asked Rajam. "The next is going to be your body if you are keen upon a fight." "But this is unfair. I have no gun while you have." It was to be a hand-to-hand fist. Now Mani is saying, well, that's not fair. I have a club, you have a gun. Let's have a fist. Fist to fist, fight. Then why have you brought your club? Rajam says, if you wanted to have a fist fight, why have you brought your stick with a club with you? You never said anything about it yesterday. Mani hung down his head What have I done to offend you? Asked Rajam, the new boy. Rajam says, Mani, what have I done to offend you? Why have you picked up this fight with me? You call me a sneak before someone. Sneak is a person who does things behind your back. Sneaky person. Rajam says, that is a lie. I never called you a sneak. There was an very, very awkward, weird pause. Everybody just looked at each other. If this is all the cause of your anger, forget it. I wouldn't mind being friends with you. Now, there was some rumor in which Mani gets to know that Rajam called Mani a sneak, So he says, that's why I picked up this fight with you. So Rajam says, what are you talking about? I would love to be friends with you. Nor I, said Mani. Swaminathan gasped in astonishment. He's totally astounded. He's shocked. In spite of his posing before Mani, he admired Rajam intensely because Rajam came across a very good boy and longed to be his friend. Swaminathan also wanted to be his friend when he just joined school, but because of his friend Mani, he couldn't. Now, this was the happiest conclusion to all the unwanted trouble we really didn't want. He danced with joy, Rajam lowered his gun, and Mani dropped his club. To show his goodwill, Rajam pulled out of his pocket a packet of biscuits. The river's mild rumble, the rustling of the people leaves, the half light of the late evening, and the three friends eating and glowing with new friendship. Swaminathan felt at perfect peace with the world. Why did he feel peace with the world? Because he wanted to be friends with this boy, the new boy, but because of his previous good friend, he could not. So it was just a little misunderstanding which led to so much, to the point that Mani wanted to bundle him up, smash his head and throw him in the river. So what do we learn from this short story? Yes, do not get into any misunderstandings. Life is beautiful. Please clarify all the misunderstandings, become friends with each other, and especially the new ones in your class. All right, I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed narrating it. And if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share the video. Bye bye, children. And remember to become friends with everybody. No misunderstandings. Boo!